cats, kittens, puppies, dogs, giraffes, llamas. Welcome to the weekly podcast for Hapnyn.com. What's happening, San Diego? I'm your hostess, Laura Jane. What's my name? Laura Jane. And I'm coming to you live from Thunderbird Analog Recording Studio in beautiful South Oceanside, California, where troubles are far away. We're lucky today to be here with somebody that I actually know, an old dear friend that I've been a big fan of for so many years. I don't know, almost since I sat down in San Diego, I met Tim Lowman, aka Low Volts, one of the most wonderful entertainers to come out of San Diego. And he's been gone, he's back. But before we say hello to him, we want to play a track off of his latest record, a track called Wild and Free. Let's hear it. That was fantastic. That was all recorded live, you said, and you did all the instrumentation. Welcome, Low Volts.
Well, thank you.
What's up?
What's happening?
So tell me about where that was recorded and how you did that song, Wild and Free.
Well, I recorded it at Lost Ark Studio in Pacific Beach, California. And it's all analog, and I try to stick kind of true to the live show vibe. So what I do is I cut everything live, which makes the most sense because I play kick drum, slide guitar, and Howl at the Moon all at the same time at live shows. It's just a one-man show. And
it's not just a one-man show. It's a spectacular. You jump up on that bass drum and you dance and you leap about and you do howl and you are animated and joyful and down and dirty, and you put on such a show. I mean, I love watching you live.
I wish I could watch me live. That sounds cool.
Well, I'll have to take video next time.
All right, cool.
So you can check that out. You're pretty great.
When I play live, I have a bass amp and a guitar amp ran in stereo coming out of the guitar with different effects on each, like fuzz will be on one or, tremolo on the other. So you get kind of a clearer signal on one side and something dirty as hell on the other. But it's all a bigger force. It sounds like way more than one person. And then on my kick drum, I have tambourines and chains and weird little nuggets. Anyway, so when I record live, I cut everything. All the amps are in different isolation rooms, and we have mics everywhere. And then I'll have the songs like perfect just from the road and everything. I'll make sure they're like super tight, and I'll run it a couple times, make sure I feel good about it, we feel good. And then after I get a good take, I can go in and do basic percussion just to fill it out enough, not to take away too much from the live show. So, hand claps and oohs and ahs and whatever, and tambourines and stuff like that. But overall, it's very true to the sound of what you'll hear live. And then when I do have live shows that are a little bit bigger productions, I can have these go-go dancers called the high watts. So it's
I love the high watts.
They're awesome. Low volts and the high watts. So they can slam chains to the rhythm and bring this whole another world to the live show, which you'll hear this stuff on the album. But sometimes, if the high watts are there, then it's extra bonus. And if not, it's still pretty bonus.
It is a bonus. Like I said, it's highly entertaining. You've taken this concept of a one-man band and just taken it to a different 21st century place that I didn't expect,
Me either.
Yeah, so what was the first inspiration? I know of your great-grandfather.
Yes.
The story is that your great-grandfather was a gospel singer and was wrongly accused of murder.
True.
And about to face the electric chair. And then somebody came as a witness and he got off the hook and tell the people
luckily
what he did with that piece of luck.
Well, he was a gospel singer, and he kept preaching the gospel, and he was a doctor of theology, so people called him Doc Lowman. This is back in the 1920s when he was framed for murder, and he wrote a book about it. It's called Up from the Depths, How I Escaped the Electric Chair.
Can I still get my hands on that?
They're on eBay. I actually...
oh my gosh.
I just found this out because this guy heard this story about my great-grandfather, and he makes cigar box guitars, and they're usually themed. And he came to me after a show in L.A., and he's like, hey, I just want to tell you that I make these cigar boxes, and I want to make you one. I don't charge anybody. No, these are never for sale. I make them when I'm inspired, and I want to make one about your grandfather's story. So I was like, holy shit, that's awesome. Cool. So for a couple months, we were back and forth on emails and on the phone and whatnot, and he found a book on eBay. He found two. So he used the cover, reproduced the cover, and made that for the top of the cigar box guitar. This is KP guitar boxes. And then there's like photos of my great-grandmother. He put her on the back of the cigar box. And then there is a copy of the book I've never seen, and it's just this really cool pattern, it looked like weird mahogany or some kind of 1930s pattern or something. And he used that for the texture of the headstock, and it's awesome. It's got 2 pickups in it.
Is it completed?
It's completed, yeah, and it's mean. It sounds so cool. He
Do
called
you
it the
play
electric
it in
chair.
your shows?
I don't play it in my shows yet, but because I haven't really had too much time with it. I've just acquired this thing, and it's got mojo. It screams. It's dark and just what I love. And so yeah, there are more books out there. Not too many, but he put out vinyl records, my great-grandfather.
I noticed that. It was on Double Face Gospel Records.
Yeah.
Now that is
like
so
25 cents.
ironic to me because it's a gospel record, but it's double-faced. Now, two-faced people don't seem very Christian to me. So I was like, whoa, what's a double face? Another thing I saw was on the record advertisement, I guess it was. It said, J. Warren Lowman and wife.
And wife, yes. And it's a photo of him on a Gibson style O, the kind with the swirled.
That's
it's like a
such
giant
a
mandolin.
beautiful guitar.
Amazing. That's been my holy grail. I will do anything if I come across his, for one, but one that's like his. His was ebony, and it's like a 1910 Gibson, and arch top, just beautiful piece of woodworking. And then standing next to him in the photo is my great grandmother, and she has the mandolin version of it, and they have like the same like John Lennon round glasses, and they're just, it's wild because I grew up seeing these photos on my family's walls and stuff, and I never really thought much about it. He's playing a Gibson harp guitar, and there's all these photos of him in hindsight.
He looks like you.
It's crazy, yeah. And I just the more the older you get, the more you want to kind of search your roots, or why the hell you are what you are, and why you look the way you do, or whatever. And it's cool to look back and search even deeper. So the next phase is trying to find some of his records, because I've never heard his singing voice.
Oh my Lord.
So,
we have to find that.
Yeah, so.
Were they on 78s? Or?
I couldn't tell you. They were double face records. That's all I know.
Okay, well,
But I have the in the back of the book. It has all of the book was released in the 30s or something, and it's got this little sheet to like fill out and mail in. Let's just try and mail it in and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm sure they're still in business.
Give them 75 cents for the records.
So when did you record Roam With You, your new record?
It started out last year, 2017.
Okay.
I actually moved to Nashville from here to make a record and soak up the South and spend some time out there, because I love Nashville, and I fell in love with it 8 or 9 years ago when it was dirt cheap and every neighbor would be your most epic friend musician type, so you could jam anytime you want, 24 hours. And actually all of my friends from my old band Blackout Party, we all fell in love with it. And Brian and I moved out there, and I moved out to make a record.
Brian Hallwarda.
Yes, Brian Hallwarda. And he's still out there. He bought a house, and he's doing great, and he's married, and he's got the gigantic backyard and the 2 dogs, and living that life. And I went out, and my sights were set on cutting a record and soaking up everything about it, and I certainly did. I'm soaked to the brim. But I missed the ocean and all that. But I started making the record out there at Bomb Shelter Studio. It's all analog. It's very similar to this studio, Thunderbird, where it's 100% analog, and it's ran and owned by Andrea Tokic, who recorded the Alabama Shakes record. And
yeah.
Some really, really cool
I love their
albums.
sound.
Oh, man. Yeah, it's great. And so I was working with him, and being the way I record is all live, so it's very tough to like make a change. If I flub a vocal or something, you got to go back, and you can't really, since it's cut live and all the mics bleed into each other, it's hard to like make any
I know exactly
changes,
because
so.
I mixed our live album.
Yeah.
And, it's like you said, there's drums and everything, and there's vocal and everything, and there's everything and everything. So you just try to kind of bring some things down and feature other things, but... Yeah,
but it's even harder when it's just
you can't go back on your voice.
Pretty
it's
stripped
just
down. Yeah, so
done.
I got really far with him, and it started costing so much money because he's mixing live too. So if I had to adjust something, we'd have to go back, and the day rate and all that, just because he's a very sought after engineer and mixer and producer. It started just draining my money, which I didn't have very much of. So I'd love to listen to those recordings. Maybe one day I'll release those sessions. But I ended up kind of rethinking everything. And Mike Butler, who co-produced my first 2 records here in San Diego, I got on the line with him. And I know that Lost Ark recently became all analog, and they got a new board from like mainland Mexico or something, like a old Trident board, and they remodeled everything, and I ended up seeing what we could work out and what it would cost, and we made an awesome deal. And the cool thing is it's right on the beach, like Thunderbird is, so you can like cut some tracks and go surf and refresh, duck some waves, get underwater,
come back, have a taco.
Yeah, exactly. And so we ended up doing 90% of the record back here in San Diego, and I'm glad we did because it came out amazing. And
is it released yet?
It's released. It was released in January, late January.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's called Roam With You. It's
where can I get it? Do you have it at local record stores?
Right now it's only digital, so anything
only
streaming.
digital.
And I'm slowly releasing pretty much a song a month on YouTube with all the lyrics and with, I don't know how people listen to music anymore. I don't want to put a bunch of plastic out there and make a bunch of CDs, and we're in such a weird phase of releasing music, and I honestly don't know. I do want to do vinyl because that's such a beautiful output. And
especially from an analog recording.
yeah, exactly. And I love that you can see the artwork up close and all that, and like hold it in your hands.
And you can smell it.
And smell it and break it and melt it and scratch it, whatever you want to do. But right now it's all just streaming, and you can blast it on any streaming service right now.
Well, let's listen to another track.
All right, let's do that.
So this is Trouble Don't Come Alone.
Yes, I'm excited about this one.
All right, me too now. All right, let's listen. This is Low Volts. Trouble Don't Come Alone.
Get it.
Trouble don't come along. Trouble don't come along. Bad things happen in threes. Make you beg from your knees. You think you're all free and clear? No. You think there's nothing to fear? Cut you right to the bone. Make you holler and moan. 'Cause trouble don't come along. Trouble don't come along. Trouble don't come along. Trouble don't come along. Top of the game, that's when they'll creep right in. Seems you'll never win, and they'll gang up on you, beat you down till you're blue. Make you clutch to your throne. 'Cause trouble don't come along. Trouble don't come along.
All right, so tell me the story of how you came to write Trouble Don't Come Alone.
Well, it involved trouble, of course. I got into a little trouble with the law, and I ended up having to take some classes as part of a certain sentence, and it had nothing to do with anger management or anything. I'm the most calm person you'll ever meet. And do not have a temper.
I can attest to that.
But I ended up having to take these classes, and there was this little old Romanian woman. She's like probably 5'2". She's probably 70 years old, and the most top-heavy woman I've ever seen of that size and age. Like, she was the feistiest, coolest little old lady, and she would always, it was like a class, like we're all sitting in a circle, and everyone's got to share whatever stories about their week or whatever, and like she'd always have something to say about the story, and she'd always, like, every now and then she'd end it with, and trouble don't come alone, and she would say that, and like, we weren't allowed to have, phones or anything to record with, or like pens and paper, so I'd always have to like, she'd say this, and I love how she says that. I never really thought about it as a song or anything, and then I just ended up kind of realizing that's pretty cool to base on a song, because it's like the whole, bad things happen in threes, and it's a good song food. I guess that's a good way to put it.
I love that a top-heavy, small Romanian helped you come up with that title, because it's so brilliant.
Awesome. Oh my God. So yeah, I wrote the song and I played it. I've actually, like, some of these songs on this record are 3 or 4 years old, because
that makes sense. You gather these songs up and decide which ones to put out.
Yeah, it's hard though these days. Like now I want to just put them out as I come up with them, because I waited a long time to release this third album, and in the back of my mind, and I've been just tortured because I want to get this music out there to the world, but I'm like, I only have 6 songs, and I could do an EP, but I like listening to a full-length album when I get records, like I want to hear a whole thing.
I get a record.
Yeah.
But if someone's just streaming,
it's true. So,
they're not going to stream it in order. Yeah. They're going to put on the low volts mix.
Yeah, whatever
And that's going to bring up whatever that brings up.
So I think depending on my writing flow and how much life gets in the way of being able to put out records, I'd like to just cut songs as they come to me, or if I feel they're like marinated enough. But I ended up cutting it, and then when I came back to San Diego to cut it again with Mike Butler, he recommended on some of these songs that we get a hold of the Martin Luther King Jr. Gospel Choir. And I've always, they sound just like that. You nailed it. They were available, and all of it's basically donation, and it was affordable, and the money all goes to charity and all that. So to bring them in was amazing, for one, and I was able to basically conduct them and like voice them the melodies I heard and where I wanted them, and I would play the guitar parts for them, and then they would all, okay, you play this, you're doing the alto, you do this, and then they would work it all out, and within like 2 hours we had all of the harmonies and everything for them.
The arrangement was just made up on the spot.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
And then we just had them live in the studio, and I was conducting them I would just close my fist when I needed them to shut it off, and man, they blew it out of the park, and it sounds so cool. It's like
it really does.
I'm so excited, and they really added some real flavor to it, and I really want to shine some light on them and get this song out there to get their voices out there, because they're incredible, and the way they work together is phenomenal, and it's a great thing they're doing. So
it's amazing that they're doing this in different recording situations for charity.
Yeah.
Like they're going from project to project with the same process in their hearts to give back to the community with.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It's amazing.
So I want to touch on your band that I met you in, Blackout Party, a little bit. We've recently found out that one of your songs from Blackout Party was featured in 66 and Nowhere, which can be seen on Amazon Prime. Blackout Party is also featured, you said, in some other things.
Yeah, we just got a song in the new Super Troopers 2 film.
That's so rad.
I got a song in it as well.
Yeah, you said the low volt song. Which one was it that was in it?
It's called My Fixin'. It was off the first album, and I actually recorded it in my closet, most of it, and which is so, to you listeners out there on a budget, like, you can do anything in any situation with whatever means you have. Just put your heart into it and bust it out. And I've had that song out there since I released the first album in 2010, so it's been 8 years, and it's been kicked around, and all of a sudden now it's in a major film, which is really cool to hear.
And you said it's plays for like over a minute?
Yeah, well, it comes in all strong, and then it's right when Rob Lowe is introduced into the film, and then there's a bunch of dialogue, so it's underneath everything for a minute and a half. So it's a pretty long time, and
wow.
It's pretty cool. It's Eagles of Death Metal is the main band all throughout the album. They have tons of music in it, and there's so much cool music in that movie. That movie's over the top. I love comedy and dark humor and crazy shit, and these guys went beyond. I was in the theater, and luckily there was like a ADA thing in front of us, and no one's sitting there. And it was a theater you could drink beer, and I didn't want to leave the theater to go get more beer, so I just ordered 2 beers in the beginning. So I finished my first beer, and I had my second beer on the floor in front of me, and there's this scene, man, I laughed so hard. My whole body jerked, and I punted that pint of beer, like 15 feet in front of me, and just sprayed everywhere. And that's right in the midst of all that madness. The Blackout Party song came on, and I missed it. So I never got to hear the Blackout Party song in there, but I heard my Low Volts song in there. So I need to watch it again, because there was some seriously funny moments in that movie.
That's so rad. So do you still exist as a band, or are you just done and everyone's moved on?
I think we're always going to be a band, but, Brian's in Nashville. The boys here are in 15 bands, like Jeff Hawthorne and Daniel Crawford, Jesse Bowen. Everyone's got so much going on. And so that brings me back to why I have a one-man band. Having, 5 band members is, if you've been in a band, you know what it's like to just be able to book a practice time or something, it's a nightmare, and it's frustrating. And at one point we were probably 5 years deep or something, and I think Brian wanted to take a hiatus from the band, and he's kind of like a side guy in a bunch of bands around town and pursuing that. So I didn't have anyone to play with. So I actually had this old kick drum in the corner of my room, and I had like a basic, simple studio in this loft I lived in. I used to live above a Point Loma bookstore.
All right.
Yeah, I had this really cool old
Well, that's how I know you, is from OB. Yeah. So that's cool.
And so I lived up there, and I was able to make some noise. So I had this kick drum, and I would play some slide guitar, and I would stomp to the rhythm just to have something. And after a while, I'd start kind of coming up with melodies that I liked, and I would just record them just to remember them. And soon enough, it just started evolving into songs, and then I'd play them for friends, and I would just record it with one mic, the whole thing. And that's not just you on there recording. And I'm all, no, it's all me. I'm just guitar and kick drum and vocal.
Honest engine, kids, it's just me.
Yeah, and then it just turned into kind of like a...
It really took off. I mean, when you first started playing out as Low Volts, it was like instantaneous Low Volts fever. I mean, you went from having your first gig to being at like every festival and playing every bar, and then you went on a Low Volts tour. What was that like? Did you do more than one?
I've done a few tours around the country, but the most notable one was warming it up for Brian Setzer for 6 weeks on the road, like every
the
night.
One man. Did you have your go-go girls with you? Or?
Only in New Orleans, Madison Chain. My main high watch, she flew out, and we played the Sanger Theater. Every show was sold out in the coolest theaters across the country. I played the Ryman in Nashville. Like, I still to this day, I get the chills when I say that. I'm like, how did I... What? And I did it by myself to a sold-out, overpacked crowd. Every theater, everyone's seated, so it's
everyone's
nerve-wracking.
Paying attention to every
little
thing.
needle drop. I had to get a new amp like after the first show because my old Fender was like buzzing so bad that in between songs, it's like it's so silent, and it really cut my teeth to a true performance and like the little nuances in between songs and like just to keep the energy at a certain level, and it was nerve-wracking and life-changing at the same time, and I'll never forget it. But yeah, I'm forever thankful to Brian Setzer for taking me out for so long, like a hero. I got to warm it up for him every night, and it was incredible. So this new album, I'm looking to tour, and it's so hard. Like I'm doing all this on my own, like the booking and the merch, and I'm like my own merch girl, and
so you're the one-man band and the one-man record company,
it's gnarly.
and the one-man merch producer, and the one-man social media guy.
I'm not trying
publicist.
to do it that way. It's just I'm forced to. Like, I need help.
Yeah.
If you're out there and you want to make a bunch of money, give me a shout. But I need a professional handler. I just want to go play music and record it, and please, someone just handle the booking and the other fun stuff.
Do you hear that, humans out there? It's a cry for help.
It is. You see this tear in my beer?
Well, okay. This next song off of your new record, Roam With You, is called Bullet Holes.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about this one before we hear it.
This one's cool. It's darker and heavier, and it's one of those songs about a girl that's basically fire, and you're basically playing with a gun, and but you want to because you're so enthralled by it, and it's evil and whatnot, but it's so fun sometimes. I'm not a gun advocate, by the way, but.
But you do play with danger from time to time.
Oh, man.
Mainly in the feminine form.
Yeah. They get me.
Well, let's take a listen to it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Low Volt, San Diego's one-man superhero with the song Bullet Holes.
Some say I dodged a bullet, some say my curse reversed. When we went our separate ways, I thought I'd seen the worst. Believe me when I tell ya, she's like a loaded gun. Make you feel like a real man, but if she turns on you, you best run, son. I'm a knife brought to a gunfight. I'll never stand a chance. Things to do for a woman when you're under the wicked trance.
I really like that Dangerous song. Thank you. You are an amazing performer live. If you want to check out Low Volt's live in color, whether he has his Go-Go Girls or not, you're still going to be enthralled. You can check out his schedule at lowvoltsmusic.com, and that is LOWVOLTSmusic.com, or you can check out all of his photos and info on Instagram at lowvolts, LOWVOLTS, or you can call him in the middle of the night at 619. No, I'm kidding.
666.
No. Well, you're an artist outside of being a musician as well, correct?
Yeah, I do a lot of poster art and logos and branding and t-shirt graphics for bands and companies and whatnot. And so I do a lot of freelance art, graphic design mostly.
So is that the same way that they get in touch with you for that kind of work as well?
Yeah, I do a little blog where I kind of post my latest projects that I've been working on.
Blog on me.
Yeah, it's...
What is your blog?
It's Lowman My last name's Lowman, Lowman, Customs with a K, lowmancustoms.blogspot.com. And if you ever want to look way better, just give me a shout.
I like that. Multifaceted.
Yeah, it's
man
fun.
of the age. Well, great. Is there anything else that you can tell me about how to look so cool? Every time I see you, you've got on the coolest studs, you got the coolest haircuts, you've got this beard mustache combo thing going on right now that's so cool.
It's
I've
more
never
like
seen it.
It's like a Joe Dirt meets Lemmy meets a 70s truck driver effect.
It is. Like the sides right under your ears are like poofing out.
Those are my wizard tips.
Wizard
And
tips.
I'm slowly turning into a wizard. So, low volts is, I'm doing this till death. I'm going to be like ZZ Top, like the little old one-man band from California. And the older I get and the crotchetier and whatnot, I think it's going to even make the music and the show cooler. So, please be a lifer with me and stay on this journey because I'm not going to quit.
Well, it's been a pleasure having you here. Is there anything else? Oh, we should talk about your beer.
Yeah.
Okay. How cool is this? Not only does he look cool, he smells delicious, ladies, just saying. And he's got artistic ability up the wazoo, but he also has his own beer. Now, did you brew it yourself? I mean, who doesn't love beer? I love beer.
That's my main fuel in life. I played a show and someone filmed a snippet of it and put it on Instagram and they were high compliments and I was like, wow, that's cool. And I was like, wait, I looked at who it was and it said Amped Alex and it was on Instagram and I was like, wait, and I looked into it. It was Amplified Ale Works and they're a really cool San Diego brewery that's killing it right now. And I thought about it, I was like, Amplified, low volt, somehow that's a match made in heaven, right? What? So I just straight commented, I'm like, what? This sounds like a match made in heaven, low volt, let's do a beer. And he's like, let's do it. And then sure enough, like 3 weeks later, we were back and forth on texts and emails and calls and not even meetings, just hanging out, drinking beer and seeing what my palate is. And normally I'm a high life. I like the champagne of beers, but I like to start out with a good IPA and, and then
Crank it down
throw
into the
down
mellow.
like 8,000 high lifes. So I told him that. I was like, so we kind of figured out the nice blend of all that. And sure enough, man, we went in and they have a tasting room off Miramar and we came in and I just learned about all this stuff. I really didn't know the science to making beer and it's so cool. I love it. But we did a Mosaic hop and a Simcoe and a Chinook. And I got to throw in all the dry hops and be part of the process and did all the art for the can and everything. So we just released it. I just burped some of it up. Sorry. We just released it about 3 weeks ago, and my supply is running low. We just did a limited run, about 1,500 cans. They're 16-ounce cans, and then they have a spot in Pacific Beach, which is ironically 10 steps away from Lost Ark Studio, where I recorded my record.
Whoa.
I went there to get food and stuff after I recorded and drank their beer, but I didn't really think anything of it. And here we are, 6 months later, and I'm making a beer with them. So, yeah, we made an awesome beer, and it's called the Electric Chair. And it's something you can sip on your porch on a hot summer day and play some guitar. So we called it the Porch Pluckin' Pale. And it's kind of a hoppy pale ale, and on the bottom it has the lore, like my story of my great-grandfather and how he escaped the electric chair. And I'm so fortunate. It's so good, and I have only 3 cases left, and I'm freaking out. So if you're out there, bring me the rest of your low volts beer. I'm withering away.
Only 3 cases left. Miller High Life will have to do.
Yes.
Well, that is so rad. So I can't wait till you get your own line of condoms.
Yeah, that's
and
works.
your own line of beard wax so that everyone can have the...
Oh, you don't need beard wax for this. You just need good old-fashioned grease. Grease. Greez.
Well, let's all do a toast to the pickled low volts and congratulations on coming back to San Diego. We sure missed you. And
thank you.
I can't wait to hear the whole rest of the record. It's called Roam With You. He's got it out streaming right now at all your favorite streaming venues, but you can also purchase it in other ways in the future, hopefully on vinyl. Also, he's putting them up on YouTube, so you can see all these songs on YouTube with the lyrics and sing along with low volts, so that when you get to the gig, you can amaze him with how much you adore him.
I would love that.
And congratulations on the beer and your artwork and with all of the placements of your songs around. And I'm just so pleased for you. I'm so proud of you.
Well, I love you, Laura Jane. So fun hanging with you.
I love you too, Tim. All right, that's it for this week's podcast of What's Happening in San Diego. You can find this on your favorite streaming venues as well. And this podcast can also be found at www.hapnyn.com and on the Facebook page /Hapnyn. Okay, this is Laura Jane, over and out.
Oh.